Good evening and welcome to this KCAU-9 News Special, the flood of 2011, a decade of change. I'm Tim Seaman.
And I'm Sophie Erber. That flood affected Siouxlanders up and down the Missouri River, turning into one of the worst flooding events in about half a century.
And over the next half an hour, we'll talk to some of those folks swallowed up by those floodwaters and find out how they're doing today.
Plus, what would be in place precaution-wise if a similar event were to arise in the future.
But we begin by turning back the pages of the calendar to early May in 2011, just days before the floodwaters swelled here along the Missouri River.
It was maybe the 14th or 15th or 16th of May, right in that time frame, where it was just raining an awful lot. And I remember driving back from Yankton one afternoon, and I noticed there was a lot of water in the fields.
As Jeff Dooley looked across those soggy South Dakota fields, he had no way of knowing how high water would dominate his life during the summer of 2011.
Next Monday, we had a board meeting, and there was nothing really on the agenda for flooding. And by that Thursday, I started seeing river levels and some chatter going on. We just kind of started game planning some ideas on where we had to protect.
Later that month, the Army Corps of Engineers warned that because of record snowpack in the Rocky Mountains and heavier than expected spring rainfall, it would be releasing record amounts of water from 6 upstream dams, including Gavin's Point near Yankton. Unaware that their efforts wouldn't be enough to hold back the power of the Missouri River, homeowners began preparing for what would be a life-altering event. Less than a week after the Corps predicted record river levels, South Dakota Governor Dennis Dugard stood near the 18th green at Dakota Dunes Country Club and urged residents of the neighborhood to evacuate. Nobody knew for how long, but the work was just beginning.
And, our plan changed probably 6 times. Because every day that we'd come up with, okay, we're building to this level, the Corps would say, okay, we're going to 120, 130, 140. So we just had to keep upping that protection.
The rush to protect property was on. Levees being built by machine and by hand over 8 days, nonstop work. Sandbags filled for homes and businesses. Plenty of heavy lifting was done over the next few weeks. It became a community event, those in harm's way and those high and dry offering help however they could.
That was one of those situations where you just didn't know, because it had never happened before. You don't have anything to go on. You just have to play it as safe as you can. And
from Hamilton Boulevard to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, the Anderson Dance Pavilion, Floyd Museum near downtown, and the Argosy Casino, everyday life was nowhere to be found. The flood fight continued. Releases at Gavin's Point Dam eventually hitting 160,000 cubic feet a second. The average for a summer is just 63,000. Then, on July 21st, a sign that the worst might be over. The Missouri River crested at 35.25 feet in Sioux City, the highest crest since 1952, when it hit more than 44 feet, a high water mark that still stands today.
Once we got to July, I was feeling fairly comfortable that, I think we can make this work. Now, I'll tell you, during that time frame, you watch the weather a lot. They started talking about when releases could be reduced. I think it was first part of July, but when they started talking about that and that you could see at least some relief, and even when they were talking released or reduced releases, they were still astronomically high compared to historical averages and historical peaks.
River levels continued to drop through July and August. The hard work continued as well as levees came down. Sandbags were emptied and basements left wet and moldy by muddy water repaired. Attention turned to the Army Corps of Engineers, and if more could have been done to prevent the disaster. Hundreds were displaced, with $2 billion in damages to infrastructure, homes, and businesses, as well as farmland.
It was a surreal 6 weeks there, from middle of May to into June. And then after a while, you just kind of got a little bit conditioned to it. I'm glad it turned out the way it did, but I wouldn't want to go there again, I don't think.
Without doubt, still emotional memories for folks here up and down the Missouri River.
No doubt, those still fresh. And coming up next, I talk with one of those people who is responsible for managing the floodwaters on the Mighty Mo when a flood of 2011, a decade of change, continues.
Welcome back. The flood of 2011 caused some $2 billion in damages up and down the Missouri to infrastructure, to real property, farmland also included.
Of course, and I talked with the Army Corps of Engineers responsible for fixing a lot of those repairs and also how they manage those floodwaters.
So 2011, we had a bunch of snowpack and in the plains, also in South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, and then we had mountain snowpack, and then we had a lot of rain in eastern Montana, and that put a lot of water in the system.
Today, Tom Curran is the project manager at the Gavins Point Dam.
So all the water that comes into the Missouri River has to go through, above here, has to go through Gavins Point Dam. So we had quite a bit in 2011.
And by quite a bit, he means more than 5 times the normal amount of water per second running through the spill gates. As the waters kept rising and the release numbers rising with it, residents we talked to at the time say they were amazed.
I was kind of surprised that they were going to release more after what we had heard that they were going to keep it.
At the peak of the event, 160,000 CFS to be exact.
I think everyone has a question mark going through their mind whether levees are going to hold or whether they're not.
And that question answered positively to the relief of many.
So everything really performed exceptionally in 2011. We didn't have any issues.
That being said, the massive amounts of water took its toll.
A lot of erosion that we had to come in and repair after that 2011 event. So we had to come back in, reshape the banks, and put new rock in for the next event.
And on the infrastructure itself,
anytime you run the dams that hard for that long, there's wear and tear, and we see that. We did look at all the dams after that event, especially our spillway gates. Those had the majority of the flow going through them, and so the seals get worn. We look at the paint, we look at the structural steel as well, and everything came through that event very, very well.
At the end of the day, the dam did exactly what it was designed to do.
As far as the operation and maintenance, we've been doing this now for 60, 70 years at these projects, and nothing much has changed. We continue to inspect, we continue to maintain and operate the dams.
So 10 years later, how does our spring runoff now compare?
So we had pretty good fall moisture, but since then the winter was pretty dry, and then it's continued to be dry the last couple months. And so every month the reservoir control, the water management unit in Omaha, they look at the conditions in the basin and make a forecast for the year. And this year, the forecast is really low. It's like 44% of average. So.
And this, of course, is good news for Siouxland. But another flood event is inevitable, whether it's next season or decades from now. And the Corps says they and the dams will be ready.
They do function well when those happen, and they will continue to function when those happen.
One of the fortunate things about that 2011 flood was that people had plenty of warning.
And of course, that gave them time to evacuate ahead of the flood waters. We'll talk to some of those people as we continue with the flood of 2011, a decade of change.
Bargain betting was voted the
That flood in 2011 affected more than 4,000 homes up and down the Missouri River, and of course, some of those right here in Siouxland.
KCAU-9 reporter Lydia Vasquez talked with those folks and found out how the flood affected them and where they are today.
It was a very nice home. We had 3¼ acres on the river, and we had 310 foot of riverfront. Little did I know it was the lowest piece of property.
We first spoke to Jim Zortman on Memorial Day weekend back in 2011.
We've never seen this. I've lived out in this neighborhood all my life, and I'm 62, and I've never seen the water this high.
He describes the 2011 floods as a chaotic disaster.
We were told that the releases of the water and the water level that we were expected and those kind of things, but they said also it was going to be a 17-day progression before the Corps released to that amount of water.
17 days turned into less than 7 to evacuate.
That was probably Tuesday by the time we finally got sand and sandbags down there, and by Wednesday afternoon I had fish in my yard.
By Friday, everyone had to be out.
It was a mad dash, it really was.
The water overcame what was once a 4,000 square foot home and created a new home for Mother Nature.
We had 18-mile-an-hour current going through our home at 4.5 foot in the living room. My garage doors and that were all 7 foot or under water, and that it lasted for 90 days. And we were right on the curve, right where the current went. This would have been the entry to my garage. Well, we lost our home. We had 18 years down there.
Zortman says his home ended up being bulldozed, and the fear of that happening was very real for many Siouxlanders.
And we had just moved to a different house in the dunes, and there was some talk about it, some chatter, and I had heard they were going to do some sandbagging.
Christy Miller-Arlt lived in the Dakota dunes back in 2011.
We just moved to this house. It was sort of our dream home, and we just loved the neighborhood and the neighbors, and the realization that the house could be underwater was terrifying.
Even then, Miller-Arlt says none of it seemed real.
People are just kind of in denial, which I think a part of me still is too. You know, you get the sun shines out, everything's dry right here. The river seems so far away, but that's going to change.
Miller-Arlt says thankfully there was only water damage to her basement. She and others made it their mission to help those in need.
I remember looking down the street, and some of these same people, our friends and family, were helping our neighbors who they had never met. They just went above and beyond, and it was just such a wonderful sense of community and support.
What brought challenges also brought new perspective.
It really changed me on that the spirit of mankind and helping each other is still there. And so I think that's the biggest thing I got out of it, is still faith in mankind. As bleak as it looks sometimes, they're still there to help.
Still, Zortman says some trauma remains.
Emotionally, my wife has been separated from the property. She only went down once after the flood, and she never went back. And so I'll never have her on the river again. That'll just never happen. And so there's a lot of emotional turmoil that goes through your life, and that, you know, you have to adjust. You have to keep going.
Lydia Vasquez, KCAU-9 News.
Where we are right now today is actually the epicenter of that 2011 flood.
Coming up next, how the planned community of Dakota Dunes has prepared for the possibility of future flooding as the flood of 2011, a decade of change, continues.
Only KCAU-9 gives you 5 dedicated digital journalists and producers to get you more news to keep you informed, more weather to keep you aware, more stories to keep you entertained, more for you on the app and its
Dakota Dunes is located between the banks of the Big Sioux and the Missouri River. And as residents here discovered in the spring of 2011, those rivers cannot be the best of neighbors.
That's right. Unpredictable to say the least. KCAU-9 News reporter Mallory Smith talks about the community's infrastructure here and also what prepares them for a future historic event.
When the community looks back on the 2011 floods, some are surprised to learn it's been 10 years. Some forgot moments from that time, but everyone remembers how the community rallied together to minimize destruction and support fellow neighbors.
After 2011, 2019, and even 2018, each time we get a better understanding of what that means for our riverbanks.
Jeff Dooley is the district manager of Dakota Dunes Community of Improvement District. He says each year he's learned more.
During both the 2011 and 2019 events, we took elevation surveys of the water surface elevations so that we could really understand what releases from Gavin's Point and flows at Sioux City, what those result into actual elevations.
And then provided that information to the Corps of Engineers, FEMA, and several other organizations so that they would be able to conduct their own research and help mitigate future flooding. Dooley says the city has invested a significant amount of money for preventative measures, a total of nearly $17 million.
Most of the development has already occurred down by the river. There's one more development going in on Wingfoot, and as that was developed and the infrastructure plans for that were put together, a lot of emphasis was put on, okay, what happens when the river comes up?
He says as far as home structures are concerned, Dakota Dunes homes have been built to be safe from events like these. However, there are still obstacles in communities that Dooley says they need to stay aware of.
Storm sewers are a big issue in any community that's on the river. We need to make sure that water does not flow back up through them. And then when it rains, when the river is high, we need to be able to evacuate water to the river.
One area of concern was Dakota Valley School District. Al Leber was the superintendent at the time.
They need a place to sandbag. They utilized the high school parking lot in front of the building, and then there was a bus parking in the back. We moved the buses out and put a sandbagging effort back there too. And so there was hundreds of people in the parking lot sandbagging.
As time progressed, Dakota Valley School District was no longer a matter of question and instead turned into a place of shelter.
They also brought in a group, they called them at first the smoke jumpers, but I think they're firefighters called a rapid response team out of the Rapid City area. And there was probably about 15 or 20 of them. And so they actually stayed in our wrestling room.
Leber says he gave them keys to the building, mats to sleep on, and open access to showers.
We also opened up the gym. They brought a few cots in. The Red Cross did not a lot, but they brought a few cots in for anybody from the community who felt displaced and they needed to get out of the heat.
Dooley says he feels prepared for any future event thanks to knowledge gained from past disasters.
Learning where our weak spots were, in other words, where the water comes in at first, how to respond, where do you respond first, what kind of measures you have to bring to the table given certain events. Before it was all theoretical, and those theories proved right and wrong in some instances and allowed us to correct. And so we have just a lot better of understanding how to respond to things now than we had 10, 15 years ago.
Mallory Smith, KCAU-9 News.
Of course, Dakota Dunes wasn't the only Siouxland community impacted by those high waters.
That's right. How Sioux City leaders are preparing for future historic flooding when the flood of 2011, a decade of change, continues.
Welcome back. Although no two floods are ever exactly alike, much was learned during the disaster of 2011.
That's right, and Sioux City leaders taking that to heart to prepare for future events. KCAU 9's Hannah Adamson shows us how.
I think we're as well prepared going forward as what you could possibly be for a repeat of that event.
Gary Brown with Woodbury County Emergency Management says the fight continues to prevent future flooding.
There's been some mitigation activities take place with some of the city infrastructure, with some of the industrial ground in farm ground. There's been some changes made to try to protect some of those from another high water event.
Brown says the county got a head start learning how to deal with floods 32 years ago in the aftermath of Flight 232.
We identified three things: training, communications, and a place to coordinate disasters from.
That's why Brown says creating a playbook was the first thing that needed to be done after the 2011 flood.
We didn't have any blueprint for this. We had no idea which direction the water was going to go or how high it was going to get. So that's probably the biggest thing that we left behind, was that documentation of exactly what took place and how we did things.
Parks Maintenance Field Supervisor Kelly Bach says key lessons learned include understanding the interaction among Sioux City's four rivers.
We have the Missouri to contend with, which is a factor from the Big Sioux, the Floyd, and Perry Creek. So there's four things we always have to consider which one is going to rise first.
And where Sioux City's weak spots are.
During 11, the first place we saw water was actually coming out of the basins, and it started flooding the underpass under Hamilton.
That knowledge led to arguably the biggest structural change in the wake of the 2011 flood.
We actually raised Hamilton Boulevard, and then we raised the bridges over I-29. It's been effective so far. We've had a couple high water events where it's been close, but we've managed to keep keep Hamilton Boulevard open in that area.
Schultz says the I-29 camera system and stronger hydraulic analysis have given them a better idea how to develop more flood-proof structures moving forward.
When we look at projects now, we're looking at a different set of flood levels for that 100-year and 50-year, depending on if it's bridge and culvert. And we're building structures that are better able to withstand those types of events.
Schultz says better coordination with the city since 2011 has also come a long way.
We work with them on plugging storm sewers when we know the water's coming up. We also looked at our predetermined diversion routes or detour routes if they're needed, so we've got that.
We've improved the communications with the STARCOM radio system, with the Security Institute here, with the Emergency Operations Center, a place to coordinate from.
We can close off right over to our east here, the walkway, and then the interpretive center is basically protected again. So instead of multiple days and contractors and city and multiple agencies from the state and county, we can get it done in a few hours.
Although there's no way to predict when Sioux City will see another major flood, all three men agree one thing is crystal clear.
Everybody works well in the tri-state area, and we're able to talk to each other. We do exercises together, we plan together, so it makes a difference in your preparedness level. So you're on a first name basis with a lot of people when bad things start to happen.
Hannah Adamson, KCAU 9 News.
The process of protecting people and property never really stops.
But the Corps does tell us that the threat of serious flooding up and down the Missouri River Basin this year is very low because of reasons that, of course, we've already talked about.
And that's good news since they are still working on repairs on the levees from the 2019 flooding event.
Work never seems to end. Thanks for being with us for this special look back at the flood of 2011, a decade of change.